All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. I am here with Soulshards RPG founder Yitzy is here, folks. Little clap, and he brought his buddy Clint. When I met, at first I didn't recognize you because we had to go through a pandemic, so like a lot of things escaped me since going through and me on lockdown. But last time we did play Soulshards together at game night.
Yes,
and so I had a good time doing that. And you're an excellent. It's not a dungeon master. It is called...
We have a Soul Weaver.
Soul Weaver. So definitely a great job you did there. Just for the audience out there, explain what Soulshards is all about. And I was nice enough that Yitzy brought me a notepad here, so I will be filling all my... Never even heard of Soulshards or know what it is. Just kind of, in your words, what is it?
So Soulshards is a role-playing game where you get to customize your character beyond the limits of most other systems. We have an endless assortment of abilities and species that allow you to customize exactly what your character can do during gameplay. The function of playing the game is you roll dice based off of your character's attributes in order to determine success or failure based off of actions that you decide to take. A Soul Weaver will define a story that you participate in. So each of the players is interacting with the Soul Weaver as a story is told at the table. Their characters try to survive various challenges and accomplish anything they can in order to get stronger or accomplish whatever their personal goals are.
Okay, and then I guess you grew up playing the other RPG games like Dungeons and Dragons. What made you decide to design your own type of game?
So I was introduced to Dungeons and Dragons around the time I was 20. Wasn't expecting it, just someone came up to me and introduced me to the game, and I kind of enjoyed it immediately, and then over time I made a lot of friends who played those games, which drew me further and further in. Eventually I started running games myself in those systems where I realized there were limitations I didn't care for. So like many other people, I started creating custom rules within those games. Eventually the players liked the custom rules enough, and there were so many of them, that we created an entire system off of that that just expanded beyond the game, which became Soulshards. And that was about 5.5 years ago. And over that time, I've met a lot of people who have helped make contributions to make the system a full game rather than just an expansion from those older games. And now it's a standalone thing that we're hoping to release in about a year.
Wow. And so some of these things that you're changing in Dungeons and Dragons when you're playing, what's some kind of, give examples to me of like what types of different rules and different types of settings that you came up with.
So the primary thing that we changed is that Dungeons and Dragons and games of that sort use a class system. So you choose a very general category that your character is, and then you're stuck to it with a handful of adjustments that can be made. But there are very few choices throughout your character. Soulshards instead uses no classes. You get to choose any abilities you want from a number of styles and some generic abilities that anyone can learn, and mix and match them how you want, advance those individual abilities how you want, all by assigning XP. You have a starting amount of 12 XP, and each XP can be one ability, or take something you already know and make it...
Development and refinement, which is where we're at now, is the final refinement stages, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
So I've been doing role-playing games since I was 8.
Which is only like maybe 10 years ago, right? Right? Yeah, right? 10 years ago?
That's a nice compliment. No, try pushing 40, almost 41 now.
Okay, you're my age. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be 49 this year, and rather unusually, actually, it was my parents that introduced me. My father was going to college. He didn't go to college right out of high school. So he was going to college. He met somebody right out of high school that was at college, and he got invited, and he took my sister along with us, so I've been playing ever since. And I've always been kind of going around different systems, different ideas, different things, and then got to Soulshards, and I'm very much into the ability to do exactly what you want, because I find that people, if you give people free-form imagination, they can usually come up with stuff you've never heard of before, and you're like, really? Well, that's kind of cool. I like that. That's neat.
Yeah. So what's some of the things that you liked it because it was you had more freedom of designing characters? What's some other things that appeal to you about Soulshards?
It emphasizes the character and not the equipment. A lot of things in Pathfinder and D&D and a lot of other serious fantasy games are all about what you have which has spawned such rather creative and yet funny things like Hackmaster, which is all about your equipment. And I'm not as a big a fan of that. I like the character to stand out and the equipment to be complementary to the character. But you take they don't have stuff, but that doesn't make the character not useful and capable.
Right.
So I like that approach quite a bit.
And so you're saying, well, show the audience the book here. This is a book that you created and published. And so when was this published, this book?
So this one came out just a couple weeks ago. We did a short run of 8 copies this time. So we've got some on store shelves for presentation purposes only at this time. This book is not final. It has almost all of the complete rules and most of the abilities, though we are currently working to revise the abilities as they were made over various iterations over the last 5.5 years. So now we're trying to standardize them all using the current rule set, which should be finalized. And we need to add more options, as we have 78 styles that divvy up where those abilities are, and each style will eventually have 12 abilities in order to go with a very standardized set, but currently some of them only have 4 or 5. So we need to complete the missing parts. After that, we're going to be adding a bestiary to the book so you can have pre-built creatures in order to fight against. Then we're going to be working on a new layout and get a text editor and more art. At that point, we will be ready to Kickstarter the project.
So you haven't put a Kickstarter up yet for it?
Not yet. We are not far enough along, and we don't want to release before we are actually able to complete the project in a reasonable amount of time from collecting funds.
But you've been playing this game for the last, you said 3.5 years, 5 years, like at game time. Is it game time or game?
Game night.
Game night, okay.
Was the first store we started working with, and we've been there for about 4.5 years. The first year was really only in my own home with a handful of close friends. Right,
but it's been kind of a beta testing that you guys have been playing in every Tuesday nights?
We've done a number of different nights depending on where the players have been available. We're currently available in person 3 days a week, as well as online 2 days a week, so that hopefully any schedule can fit with us.
But doing so, you've been, like you said, you've been working out all the kinks, all the different, I guess, people's critiques about it. You've been working on, yes. So, to build a product, it doesn't, you just don't have a product and launch it overnight. It takes a second to kind of do the research, get the right things, and so people realize that. So this has been years in the making, but I've played the game, and I can say that me and my girlfriend and my friend, we had a great time. And yeah, so just to the audience, I guess explain how the game is played. Somebody that maybe never played an RPG.
Sure.
Yeah.
The actual mechanics of playing it, there's kind of two sides to playing an RPG. One side is sort of an outgrowth of just your good old-fashioned make-believe. You make up an idea for a character. Could be very simple. I'm a fantastic elven archer, and then it's how do they behave? How are they? What do they want? What's important to them? Are they afraid of spiders? Why are they afraid of spiders? Do they support some particular great lord or purpose? And then the mechanical side is the dice, and once you decide what you're going to do, what's happening, the odds of succeeding. And just because you want to be able to jump across the chasm doesn't necessarily mean you can. You might fail to, or you could end up falling and then having another action that you might be able to take to try to prevent the falling. And that's done with a number of D12 based on how good you are at a given task. If you're a fantastic scholar, you're much better at knowing stuff than you are necessarily at defending yourself from a thug. That's where the idea of teamwork comes in, where you have friends and you work together to accomplish goals, and people are better at different things and you support each other. So Soulshards, much better than any other system I've played, emphasizes teamwork and cooperation, and that there are some things was the only way to successfully accomplish them is through the teamwork rules. Which have been heavily worked into the system, including several special abilities, which it is entirely possible to design a character around the principle of they're never the person that's attacking or doing anything. They're always the person that's your right-hand guy, your man that's there. It's always got your back.
Right.
It's always supporting.
So how many people can, I played this game, but I'm asking because, how many people can sit at a table? What's a good
4 to 6 is generally
a good number.
A good number for players.
Yeah,
and then another person as the soul weaver. You can go down lower than that, although that requires a pretty good mix of people who are comfortable with that. And bigger than that just gets it's too cumbersome. It's too many people. It's very hard to manage.
Can people play 2 characters at once, or is that kind of hard to do with this game?
It's allowed.
It's allowed,
can.
yeah. Well, let's just say I have a dog. I want my dog to be able to roll 2 or whatever. I don't know.
So there are also 2 effective ways of playing on a regular basis. You can do a single session called a one-shot normally, where it's usually okay if you have less players. So if on a given week, maybe a bunch of people called out sick or for whatever reason, and you only have 2 players left, you'll usually stop your campaign mode, which is an ongoing session week after week after week of the same story, and you can do just a one-shot, which is much more accommodating for when you have less players available.
Okay. And playing with you, you are an amazing soul weaver. How do you come up with your campaigns? Like, where's it come in this mind of yours, these campaigns? Is it influenced by movies? I mean, to make a good campaign.
Well, to quote any honest author,
yeah,
you always steal from the best. It's whatever you've seen before that worked that you found interesting, and you'll take those ideas and repackage them. Different ideas that you may come up with, and you think of something like just okay. Here, give an example. Just you're looking outside one day and you're driving down the road and you see a bunch of chickens, right? And they're out pecking on the yard. They're just doing that. And you look at that and you go, you know what? What if you had a mad scientist who decided to make giant chickens that pecked people instead of corn? And unleash the plague of chickens? What could I do with that? I mean, and sometimes you get some silly things. You're like, oh, that's not going to work. Or you can the silliest idea can turn into something. Or just ask just one question. What if vampires weren't really evil? Which is where a lot of the entire vampire genre of games comes from. Originally, not too long ago, 30, 40 years ago, vampires were always bad. Every vampire was evil, and every story ever told about vampires, they were all evil.
That's true, yeah.
About 40 years ago, in the 80s, there was no such thing as a virtuous vampire. And then in the 80s, you started seeing virtuous vampire stories. The vampire's like, oh, I'm just a cursed human. I'm trying to get by. It's not my fault. I'm trying to do good with it. Same kind of thing. You just ask a question, turn something on its head. Blue is bad. The color blue causes people's minds to go insane. And then you expand from that. And some people think it takes huge changes to make something different, but really it's actually pretty simple. You just change one fundamental thing, and you can make one simple change, and you can make a very different story out of all the same elements. Just change one little fundamental thing. So it doesn't have to be as expansive as it sometimes comes across. It's more of a question of what changes.
Gotcha. And it makes the audience excited. Like, blue is bad. And so it changes everything. Everybody's all thinking and doing. Yeah, I like it. I like it. How long does a campaign usually last?
So we've had campaigns that can be one-shots for a couple of weeks in a row where they're kind of connected. So you can have as little as 1 week or 2 weeks. I've had my own campaign last as long as a year. I know Clint has gone much longer than that.
I've done 3.5. I think the longest one I've ever run is 5 years.
Wow, 5 years.
Yeah.
And how many games? That's a game a week. So that's 5 years. That's
about
250 50 sittings,
usually there's
I guess.
there's missed games now and then. It's
right.
It's never 100% consistent. But yeah.
And what's great about Soul Shards, if I'm not mistaken here, you can take your character and you can continue building onto that character, right? So it's a continuous character. And we'll play a video here in the background, but I'll cut to it. But it just kind of shows. This was a couple of years ago, but I had short hair back then. But what the pandemic does to you, folks. But so there's and then you got these character sheets, which I want to point out. These character sheets that you have, and then there's some of the. And you have them in the book there.
Yep.
So the book now has updated versions of our character sheet, which is a lot nicer than the old thing. Mm-hmm. We also include in the book now ailment cards, which help keep track of bad things that have happened to your character. And from the book, these can be cut out, or we also have printed decks of cards with them. And Clint is pulling one out now. And they help you manage your character, because during gameplay, you can be hurt. You can catch on fire. You can start bleeding internally and various other bad things. And having to just remember them all or write them down is fine. But having a card in front of you to remind you that you're currently under some kind of bad effect is a little easier.
And the other thing, there's an app that you can go, right? There, you can go on your computer, right? There's some kind of computer program that you can download, right?
So we have our website, no download required. It's not an app. It's just our website, which while you're on it has the entire rule set available for reading, as well as a character builder. Using that character builder, you're able to completely design your character following the rules of the game, and then advance the character as you play. You can also join a party to see other people who are part of a regular group, and within that group, the Soul Weaver can control the party to a degree in order to award XP after each session if they don't want to make the players have to keep track of it themselves, as well as award souls. Souls in this world are used as currency. So we have lore behind why that is. Primarily, souls are used as tax by the kingdom. The kingdom needs those souls because souls are fragments of your soul or other people's souls pulled and refined into small shards of magic. That magic can then be used to create massive magical effects called rituals. And a city will use ritual effects to protect themselves from outside attacks from giant dragons or other powerful beasts that an individual might not be able to fight, as well as things like warding the entire city from disease if some kind of plague came through. And that way they can help the entire city, and in turn the citizens pay taxes in the forms of souls to fund those rituals.
Awesome. And we got the overhead camera here. So these are some of the cards that people can either, are they out of the book, or these are ones that you buy separately from the book?
These were actually made separately.
Separately. So if people wanted to, eventually, once this is launched, they can get the cards separately and the book. Okay.
Yes. We have a couple of decks left over right now from the last print, and we've been selling them to people who come to the in-person events. But this will be a standalone product for people who want the nice playing cards, as opposed to just cutting them out of the back of the book.
I don't know who does your graphic design, but I loved the logo, and these cards are like amazing.
The card design was entirely done by Edward York, so we've got his name on every card. He's done an absolutely amazing job for the parts we've done. And we've got our newest cover done by Mike Muma. Absolutely amazing there. Various pieces done by an assortment of other artists. And just the entire card design has been absolutely wonderful to work with. And thanks to a couple of player input, we revised the text appearance because it used to be too small and different details. So every time our players give us feedback, we make adjustments, including on cards like that.
That's awesome. Well, you have a lot of love for it, you know. So I can tell just when I came to the game and watched people play that you have a lot of followers and people there, you know, with out of love helping you out, you know, with this dream of yours to make this game, and so it's awesome. Let's just read some of the cards. So just kind of explain some of these cards. So this one is Ailment Wounded Torso. Let's see, and so it just has a type 6/7. So kind of explain how to break down the cards. Either of you.
Okay. What happens is, when for wounded specifically, when you've taken a serious enough injury, a hard enough hit, it's represents like serious strain up to the point of broken bones. For torso, it'd be like you're starting to have broken ribs, and it gets all the way to the point where your torso is no longer functional. You can't move. Either your back's cracked, so you're paralyzed, or it's just that your torso is so severely damaged. So what it's the numbers on here are determining, because you can have a centaur race that has two torsos. So you're determining which of the two torsos was actually hit. Was it the human torso or the horse torso?
I didn't think about, yeah, it's okay.
Because there's multiple species that have more than one torso.
Yeah.
And then the last part is what the effect is. And exhausted is a specific other ailment that's on here that you can get from various sources. But when you're wounded to the torso, you start suffering exhausted, which is very detrimental because you start suffering penalties on all your actions. Because if you've ever hurt your torso or cracked a rib in your life, I can tell you that you suddenly realize how much you actually flex your torso when you're walking to get a sandwich. Suddenly, just walking across the kitchen hurts.
Oh yeah, I've had that problem. I'm just working and I'm in pain the next day. I'm like, what the hell did I do?
Yes, exactly.
But even laying down, you feel pain. Yeah.
So that particular ailment, the wounded ailments, represent significant physical damage.
Okay.
That is actually how you start to really, that's things that take a long time to recover from. General damage is you getting bruises and a little bit of, strain, effort. Wounded represents meaningful, potentially life-altering damage, up to the point of including a limb or a body part is just completely destroyed. So it's gone. It's not severed and part of it's missing. It has been completely destroyed.
So if you do multiple games and you're doing this campaign for a year or a few months, and these people's injuries, do they carry the injuries over with them to the next thing? Is that something?
Yes. Yeah,
wow.
You run it like it's a timeline based on. It's like reading. Think of a campaign as like
a series,
like a series of novels where the main character goes from experience to experience, and sometimes something that had happened in one novel is still there in the next novel,
right.
Or sometimes maybe there's a couple of months that go in between, and a couple of months of healing, a lot can be gone. On the other hand, if there's some sort of permanent injury, it carries through to the next book. So depending on how the campaign is set, if it's very quick, where it's happening week after week, you could actually be injured for several sessions, or for many new stories, or maybe there's a couple weeks gap, so there's some healing.
The individual story really determines when you have spare time. It's possible that where you leave off at the end of a session, it's currently raining acid, and there's not really any place to hide. If you're currently in town and you have access to a nice hotel, if the entire group just decides we do nothing for 2 months, then congratulations, you do nothing for 2 months, you heal. Now, the fact that some evil overlord happened to be doing something during that same time, oh well. You missed out on that.
Or the rain and their armor could be rusted, so now they got to get new armor, right? With this acid rain.
Exactly.
So all kinds of things could happen.
So you have to be aware of the world around you, but sometimes if you just choose to do your own thing, then that's what you do. And there's nothing that the Soul Weaver can really do to change what the party is doing, because that's not their job. Sometimes a story involves forcing certain events on the players. But in most cases, it's the players who are really telling the bulk of the story. And the Soul Weaver is there to moderate and ensure the players do reasonable things. And when they make mistakes, help them suffer for it.
As the wonderful saying is, I don't kill players. Players just do things that get themselves killed. There's a difference.
Right.
Right. Don't go, if you're walking to a bar with a whole bunch of mob enforcers, because it's a mob bar, don't go hitting the mob boss, because you're probably going to get shot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
right.
it's the Soul Weaver's job is really to provide, they're the setting. They're the descriptor, the setting, and all the people that you can interact with or not. And if you go and do something to bring down the guard, the army, go and upset the great beast that lives outside of town, that as long as everybody tells you, look, as long as you stay on this side of the chasm, you're fine.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't come on this side of the chasm. No one really knows why, but for the last 6 generations, it's never crossed the chasm. Don't go on the other side, though, because it eats everyone. Just everyone gets eaten if they cross the bridge.
And then people still cross the bridge.
And then they cross the bridge. Oh, of course they do.
Right. Especially tell them not to do something, yeah.
Don't press the red button. We press the red button. Don't press the red button. You'll die. We press the red button. Pretty much every game.
So when this is launched, if people want to play, they purchase the book. There'll be a video online probably by then that they'll be able to show how it's done. A demonstration video you're probably going to be working on.
Yes, we hope to do more videos that show more actual gameplay and present additional information of how to play a role-playing game in general and the specifics about Soul Shards. But currently, we're not ready to do that yet, since we're still finishing up the book. Once the book is ready, then purchasing the book will be optional. A lot of people do prefer having a hard copy book. It is nice to have that tangible function. But if you choose to just use the website, that will be an option for players as well.
There's also a PDF version available on Drive-Thru.
We're already on Drive-Thru RPG, where you can download the PDF completely free as well, which is the same iteration as the hard copy book we have at this time. We will continue to release updates to that up until the final release. where we will then sell the PDF copy for lower than the physical book.
Awesome. And then do we have a kind of a price range of what the book will be?
The physical book should run for $60.
Okay.
Pretty standard for games of its type, in order to cover production costs, as the actual printing of the book and the art going into it and various components do have costs outside of the actual time we invest.
Right, which the time you invest, we're talking folks 5 years. I mean, it doesn't like he just didn't go like this, and the book was poof. The book was made, so it's much years of research and hard work that's went into this book and tweaking this game and making it what it is.
Yes. Fortunately, while we're creating this game, it's also our hobby. So some parts are work-like. We do have to get down into the nitty-gritty of certain things. Like, we have defined what the environment does to you while you're adventuring. Say, you're in a desert. How penalized is your character? We spent numerous hours reading about real deserts and figuring out what it does to you. That part is usually pretty work. But a lot of the things to do with what your character can do, when you throw fire, how you can perform various actions, that's all pretty fun for us as well.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah.
I like the environment section because it really is one of those things. I, as a game master, have had a great deal of fun turning the environment into the antagonist of a story. Actually running a survival story where the whole point was finding food, finding water, finding shelter. It wasn't about surviving somebody trying to kill you. It was about surviving the fact that you don't. People get really used to the idea of being able to go to Schnucks.
Right.
Okay, so running the whole, there is no Schnucks. There's no farm. There's no Schnucks. You're out in the middle of nowhere. Do you know what to do? Yep. Starvation's terrible, isn't it?
Right. I mean, you watch Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings. Yeah, Lord of the Rings when they're walking, all those mountain shots they're doing. But I mean, in real life they had to go find bread and find whatever they had to do to survive. But yeah, you don't think about that.
Yeah. So the environment section was fun because I like some of that. Sometimes the best antagonists, there's no target. There's no evil overlord. There's no bandits. There's just if you're Indiana Jones and you're trying to go into the middle of the jungle that you have to walk for the next 2.5 weeks, and it's jungle.
Right.
It's, like, hey, you're a great scholar. What here's good to eat?
What's some like characters that you've come up with for both of you for Soulshards?
So my latest character is a full dragon. I've been enjoying playing it. It is a time dragon, and the way I fight is by breathing time distortion. So I don't rely on weapons or other tactics. Just all of my abilities come directly from the dragon species. So I can fly, I've got thick scales, and I can breathe time. And it's been a lot of fun for me, even though the character has had horrible luck when I play it. Part of breathing my time distortion does require rolling the dice. And out of about the dozen times I've gotten to use that so far, I've rolled low enough about 7 of those times that it didn't actually work. So my dragon is just always coughing when he tries to breathe, which I built it to do this one task, but the dice just don't like that character, and it's still fun. Sometimes failing can still be fun if you play well enough and enjoy your character.
Yeah, I think to make a good character, you have to have some kind of flaw, right? Because you can't be like Mr. Superman character and nothing affects him or whatever. There has to be some kind of chink in the armor, some kind of Achilles heel, right? With a good character.
Yeah, that is something that we've built into Soul Shards, that you really can't be the ultimate hero that can do everything. You have to depend on your team.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, the character I've got right now that's my favorite character. He's a hybrid character. He's a human with shapeshifter ancestry. So he's got partial shape-shifting capabilities. And the whole character is based around the idea of many of the human species abilities are about working better in a team environment. So the character is really about providing aid to the other people in his team. And he's capable of defending himself in a fight, but he doesn't stand out at it. And his big thing that he's good at is helping his buddies fight better, or keeping his like squishy buddy here still up and moving, helping him defend himself and not get hurt. And then he's got some utility to him where it's like one of his shifting abilities is he can change his vision. So if he needs to be able to see in the dark, he can change his eyes so that he can see in the dark. So he's sort of a utility, always useful, but never the star. He's the permanent the permanent supporting character.
Right, but when you're playing with a group of people, they think you're, hey, Clint, come help me out over here,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's the support character, the guy who's like, I'll make the team run better.
Right.
You know, it's like, if you need somebody to stand out to be the champion to go into the pit, yeah, that's not me.
Yeah.
But before that, who was Sangi is one of my favorite characters. I absolutely love Sangi. Sangi is a character that was birthed. I was driving to game night because we were going to work, and I was listening to In This Moment. That is a song called Blood. And that is the birth of Sangi. Sangi is actually a shortened version of Sanguine, which is Latin for blood. It's so that's where his name comes from, and he's a blood mage. And his whole thing is, blood is life, life is blood, blood sings. Can't you hear the music? It's like, I don't want to kill anyone. If you die, your blood stops moving, and it stops singing. That's horrible. I just want you to bleed. A lot. And he's kind of crazy, but I cannot tell you how much fun he is to play. He has amazing amounts of fun to play because he's sort of a dark character without a dark personality. He doesn't really, he's not destructive. He doesn't hate anybody. He's not like, oh, you must suffer. It's just, can't you hear it? Isn't it beautiful? Don't you want to hear it? What do you mean you don't like blood? Everything about blood's wonderful. It smells good. It's beautiful. What don't you understand?
Well, I think that's what's the good thing about making a character like that. It's the most hey, great catch. It's a great talked about character. So to be the hero, that's cool. I'm the guy who saved the day, but then if I'm the characters everybody's talking about, is more kind of exciting for me personally to be that guy that characters everybody's talking about that character. When does it come to your mind? You said you were driving the car and you thought of that character. How about you? When do you like think of characters and thinks of just different types of campaigns? Like, what's your creative process? You watching movies? You're sitting in your car? You're at work?
So lately, I haven't done much in the way of creating characters, since I'm usually on the side doing development of the game or running the game myself. The characters I've built are to test the rules of the game to make sure they do what's intended. For the last couple of years, unfortunately, I used to just try to come up with anything that was abnormal. I would always build my character to do anything that no one else was doing, which was part of what led to Soulshards existing, because I was trying to do things that couldn't be done because everyone was doing all of the standard things because that's what was available. So Soulshards lets me go beyond my usual limitations and create madness, which is a lot of fun. And when I get back around to making my own characters to actually play for myself, that's what I'll be doing. Just trying to make madness.
That's awesome.
The fairy was good.
Yes. That was about 3 years ago. Yeah. I made a pixie that was just about causing chaos and tricks. And I didn't do much in the way of help or hurt. I just played. I was your standard trickster pixie from various stories, and I could go around, and sometimes my party didn't like what I was doing, and they'd throw me down a dark hallway and found out there was a giant dog there waiting to eat me. But everything worked out until it died.
Okay. That was rather funny. So just the perpetual trickster going, what are you doing? It's funny.
Yeah.
Could you guys do like a I don't know what's going on out there. The audio sounds okay, but there's a little bit of a sound. I guess she's getting ready for work. But if I came up with a name, and could you give me the character details? Could we do it's like a freestyle? Like, so if I said, gave you a weird name, and could you just make up a character, what that character is? And give
From
me the
a
detail?
name, I'm not sure. If the name actually had like a translation meaning in another language, we could do something from there.
Okay.
Currently, we have 6 pre-generated characters for our players to use before making a new character. Each of those was designed based off of a piece of art that we have available for the game. So I looked at the picture and then made the character to fit the picture.
Oh, okay. Do we have can we show those pictures? Are they in the book?
They're on the website.
Here, let me pull it back up.
Yeah.
So.
And I have them in the car as well. That's not going to do us any good right now.
Well, you were saying that you came up with the name with the blood So,
Yes.
Did the name come first, or did you come up with like the character first and to kind of find the name?
No, that one was the name first. It depends on what the inspiration is. The specific song is called Blood, and there's the inspiration for the character came from the chorus.
Okay.
Okay, so a name by itself, it's not just a name. It could be like a phrase, or if the name is meaningful, some sort of central core idea is enough for me to start building a character off of. But it's some sort of just got to be something that resonates with the creative energy to say, like, I made a character that I was just looking at it and I was like, hey, I'm going to make a Mage Knight of Luck. That was the entire start of the character. That was Underground Dojo was that character. So I made him based on that. And it just depends. It's not necessarily just the name. It can be anything that actually starts the seed. A picture, a name that means something, a phrase, an idea. We just finished last night. We just finished doing the Fortress, which is one of the styles.
Okay.
And after we finished all that, it's like, yes. If you just said, okay, Fortress, the set of abilities we just finished is like, yes, this is a guy you could make, and you could build an entire character off of this, and in a life arc where he's the guy that at the end of his last act in his career he's like, okay, you have to hold this bridge against the oncoming horde for 5 minutes. You have to give us 5 minutes to get away. I can do that. And they could. The way that we finished the style up is if you've really pushed that stuff and you've a very experienced character, a Fortress could hold against a horde for several minutes. Not indefinitely, but by the time that the horde has gotten through, there is nothing but a pile of bodies left. It's things like that. It's some sort of central idea. I guess it's kind of like any other creative process. There's some sort of central seed, and it can be anything. Really, anything that for whatever reason goes and says, you could work it off of a color. I'm gonna make a red character. Well, what does red mean? Red could be fire. Red could be blood. Red could be illusion. Where somehow they make everything red. So it's just I make the world red. Well, what the heck does that do? Well, everything's red. You can't. I've just completely blown your depth perception because all you're seeing is a haze of red. Or maybe it's heat. Maybe you imagine doing things through heat, through the idea of the IR recognition. I mean, it just depends on what you resonate off of. It's like, okay, red. I like red. Red? Okay. I like purple. What's purple mean?
Right.
And you can go from there. Here, you want to go into...
So this we're at the website pulled up here. So right. This is the homepage here.
You can go to the player guide, that center button.
Okay.
And that will bring up the main portion of the website.
There we go.
And then on the main menu, you've got character creation near the top. This is our introduction and kind of guide to the contents on this page.
On this screen, it's kind of off to the left a little bit, but it's the top left area. It's the second thing down that you can see. You see creation, but the character is sort of missing on this screen over here.
And that's over there. That's what the audience sees is this screen. Yeah, this TV's kind of overblown. So the content, so it just shows you getting started, character creation, species, abilities, gear and services, how to play, the world, guides, and running the game. So,
but the pre-gens are in character creation. If you click on the plus, you'll get the menu will open up.
On the side here?
Yep.
Yeah.
On which part?
Character creation.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That expands the menu, and you'll see pre-built characters.
Oh, there we go. So we'll go to that.
So these are PDFs that can be downloaded. And if you click on any of them, you'll see the character.
Let's go to Dragon, Dwarf, Striker. And there we are. So and there we go. So we just use the...
So this is an already filled-in character sheet based off of just a character I built based off of a piece of art that we had available.
Wow, a lot of details with all these characters.
This
And
is
so
your
some of
equipment.
they come with this, so they already with
The
equipment,
character is
so.
ready to play. Every detail that's needed to start, ready to go. And if a player chooses to, they can make adjustments to this character. They can download the PDF and edit it right there, as well as within the digital character builder, they can duplicate this character, which is available from the community forum, and then by making a duplicate of it, edit it within the program.
All right, then let's look at some other things on the website here. So that's for the character. Did you have different campaigns, like different to start out, or is that something?
Not yet. We hope to build campaign style purchasable items later down the line, so that people can have those stories ready to go. Currently, everyone's expected to make their own, which for the people who we have running our events is functional. But for many people, that's not a simple task the way it is for us, so we will provide those stories. Right now, we do have our world lore, which the top menu item above character creation does have lore up one.
I'll stop there.
Oh, right here.
Oh, yeah. It's a little cut off on that screen.
Yeah. Cut to it here.
But those pieces of the story, we've got a novel that's being written, so we've got the novel prologue right there. We've also got a few pieces of different parts of the world, historical wars that occurred, defined a little bit. We're going to write a lot more about our world lore eventually, but these are the starting points. We have been focusing on writing the rules of the game before writing the full story.
And the guy that did the artwork, you said his name earlier.
Mike Muma.
Is he going to be doing some kind of more kind of graphics for the website that you can kind of see some kind of graphics of these different things on?
I'm sure we'll get more art from him.
Yeah.
He has also done our materia pieces, which are visible on the rewards card page right now, which is underneath running the game, or underneath Soulshards RPG, the very bottom expandable menu item right there. And then the bottom option on that is reward cards. So like we have our ailment cards, we also have full art cards that we can hand out.
I don't think that's in that.
No, they're not in there.
Are they there?
So full art cards with each of these pictures on them. And if you role play well during a session, you might earn one of these cards, which you can just collect them if you want. And additionally, during game, having one of these cards allows you to re-roll a specific role during the game. And that's just a perk for us acknowledging that you've played very well and you earned a reward.
Wow, those are some nice artwork. Yeah. Do you have some with you?
I don't remember. I might, but I'd have to go digging around for them.
Yeah.
I just grabbed my bag, which means if they're in there somewhere.
Yeah, I've got everything in my bag, but that's in the car.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Man, we're having everything. There's a lot more guys outside. All kinds of crazy things happening on this podcast. But anyways,
Showers, lawnmowers, people,
showers,
cars.
lawnmowers, people, feet. Sorry, folks. But if you want to play, and let's say you're watching this podcast and you're far away, you're not in St. Louis, and you can go to the website, and all this information is downloadable, and you should be able to start and do
Yes.
your own game.
So if you're not here locally, there are two options. You can run your own game, and everything you need to do that is available on the website, or you can play with us on Discord. We do have online sessions on Monday and Friday. Friday is run by Clint, tells a great story, and we have other people already participating, so people can jump in, jump out when they want, and it's pretty free form. If you choose to stick with us on a week-by-week basis, great, or you can go and start your own game in person locally to wherever you are. Our event schedule is also on the top of the menu. You can see the very first thing above all the expandable menus. And this tells where you can play with us.
And this is if you're in St. Louis. Or you could drive. If you want to drive all the way to St. Louis, just to,
Yeah,
more than welcome
the
to.
Discord online sessions they're just Discord online. So any place that you can connect. I would recommend not getting up in the middle of the night just because I think people should take a full night's sleep. But if you really want to, I'm not going to say no.
So they can contact you, and you'll
It's right
They
there.
don't even have to. Yeah, the very first option on that page is the Discord session. They click that link, and it will bring them into the server. And then inside of Discord is a voice server, and you can see other people in the voice server. You can join in anytime there's other people there. And that site does list the specific times that we'll be running, which currently are Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
And do you broadcast that
time.
from your house, or how do you tune into it?
Yeah, just the Discord is a decentralized server that you just log into. And
Okay.
So I run from home, and
Okay.
everybody's at home.
Oh, wow. I guess you guys start that up during the pandemic, I guess?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple months after all that started, we realized that we had to get online, and we started doing those online sessions several times a week. Some of them have moved back to in-person, which is great. Happy to be there. But we still have a number of people who are not ready to come back out, and we have picked up players who are not local to us. So we've had people around the globe already who have joined at various points, and some who currently are still just out of town that will play with us on a weekly basis, even though we've never met them in person.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, I'd love for you guys to come on this podcast and play a game, and then, at this table, we could do it with the cameras cutting, and then I got these almost look like your graphics right here. This background. I'm just saying.
I'd be happy to try to find a group that can get out here with enough time to actually play a
Yeah.
game right there. We can ask around and see who's available.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it next month, maybe. Well, give me a sample, Clint, of just of a campaign or something, beginning of something that, like, let's say we're about to start the game, and kind of set something up for me, like maybe something you just did recently this week.
All right. Let's see. Well, beginning a campaign, I like to give players some sort of background on what the setting is, because it's not, I find it frustrating if you have a character idea, but you have no idea what the setting is, and your character doesn't work within the setting at all. So the campaign I'm running right now, it's set in a city. It's called Crossroads. Crossroads has a very colorful past. It's situated on a natural bay, on a plain, so it's very easy to get into and out of from the sea and the land, and it's got a very protected bay, so there's a lot of trading. So Crossroads has always been a massive mercantile city, and it's extremely easy to conquer, so it's been ruled by bunches of different groups over time, but Crossroads is Crossroads, and it always maintains, and there's this ebb and flow of who controls it. So Crossroads is a city where at the current state, it's pretty much run by a huge bunch of different number of people with power. There technically is someone in charge of the city, but they don't have enough power to make their will enforced. So pretty much it's all enforced by being part of something. You're part of a guild or some sort of crime family, although crime's a very nebulous term in Crossroads. So Crossroads is a city where morality is always vague. And it's mostly, are you important to somebody? Somehow. Have you made a name for yourself? Does somebody care? Does somebody not? So it's a very open, who are you? What are you part of? What do you do? But it is also very important that nobody's strong enough to stand on their own, ever, because there's always somebody around there more powerful. And there's layers, because there's nocturnal species and underground species that live in Crossroads. So there's layers of undercities, is what they're called. But the undercities aren't all connected. It's not like you can go underground anywhere and come up anywhere. The undercities will be different. Like this group of people built their own. And it's not connected to anything else. But it's this massive undercity where this entire group of dwarves live. So when that starts, you're brand new to the city. You just got here for one reason or another. Like one character got there because he's looking for a curse, how to undo a curse. And one of the sayings about Crossroads, there's many sayings, but one of the sayings is everything is 2 weeks from Crossroads. The idea is it doesn't matter what you want. If it's not there in the city, somebody in the city knows where to get it. And you may have to ask the right person, because sometimes the stuff you want isn't necessarily what is nice to get.
Right.
So sometimes it's not that easily available, and sometimes it's really expensive. But somebody in the city knows how to get it. Somebody can tell you what you need to do to undo your curse. May not be that easy to find.
So it's a search for a person in this quest. It's like a quest for...
Yes, every character has a reason to be at Crossroads. And it's a different reason. And what do you want? And the thing to remember in Crossroads is you got to be careful who you upset. It's all about favors, who are your enemies, who are your friends. Because nobody is all powerful in Crossroads. Nobody. There are people you definitely don't want to mess with because they're scary as all get out, but there's no. The idea of the entire setting is to question the whole, well, I'll just go to the king or the guard. It doesn't work because even the king and the guard isn't all powerful in Crossroads.
All right.
Nobody is. So you've got to figure out how to navigate. How do you make friends? How do you make allies? How do you not upset people? How do you calm people down once you've upset them? How do you make a name for yourself? Who do you work for? So right now the group is kind of, I'm really entertained because one of the characters is playing a paladin character, and there's a small paladin order in the city. It's not very big or powerful at the moment, but it's well respected. So he's constantly like, ah! there's no, you can't just go and, well, they committed a crime. Well,
Right.
maybe. But who really cares? Well, shouldn't the guard care? The city's over 200,000 people. The city's based kind of on a period in London's history where it was so big, without modern amenities of communication, where fundamentally it operates like a bunch of small towns that happen to be right next to each other. Where technically there's somebody in charge of the whole town. The whole city technically has someone in charge, but they can't enforce it. They don't have the manpower. There's no way to have that many, enforcers working for one person. They can't afford it. So,
I love it. Well, man, there's some. There we go. Some scary music. Who will survive Crossroads?
Yes.
I got to use my sound effect. There we go. Yeah. So there you go. That's a good pitch, man. I tell you what. I played RPGs a little bit, but one of the best is right here, Mr. Clint. So he does a great job, and I love Soulshards. Love it. Anything else Yitzi? Anything else we want to kind of mention on this podcast? So let's just cut real fast to this. The Discord online sessions Mondays and Fridays 6 to 10. You got the miniature market. You got game night and Archon 44. So a lot of things coming up on October 1st and 3rd. So you definitely can see them at that convention. Anything else?
So anyone who is going to Archon, we hope you can make it. It's going to be a wonderful convention, finally really bringing people back out. We will be running a panel there on Saturday the 2nd, talking all about how we did the game design of Soulshards and just general tips and tricks for making games. St. Louis actually is a hub for game designers. We've got a lot of people around, and we're always interested in meeting more of them and sharing ideas. But we're always looking for more playtesters, people to participate in actually playing the game, or even just read the rules and let us know what you think. And we want all the feedback we can get. So email us, join us on the Discord, chat with us. We're looking for your attention, your feedback, and we want to use your ideas to help us make this game perfect.
And then you can contact them right here on Facebook, and that's how I contact you. I don't even know how we met, but how did we meet?
I believe I was introduced to you by Fred.
Oh, yeah, Fred. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, how's Fred doing? Have you talked to Fred?
I chat with him every once in a while. He's doing pretty well, as far as I know.
I got to reach out and have him come on the podcast.
I believe he made his own sound studio in his basement as well.
Yeah, I seen it. He actually lives only like 4 blocks from me.
Yeah, he's down the street from me.
Yeah, so we're all live close. We should hang out more, but I guess
should.
Yeah, so but I appreciate you guys both coming on. I really believe in what you're doing, and I'm a big fan of Soulshards, so thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
I just see nothing but success with you guys with what you're doing. So
thank you.
Thank you so much. So definitely check out the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. We do this podcast every day. So check us out on YouTube. Like the Artist United Network on Facebook. And thank you for watching.
Go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. meditate. Going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate. On time, never late. I grind, celebrate. No pump, fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day. Champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box, now I'm stepping up to home. Like straight out the sand.